Merkel Media.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Mumbai Gudapi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles in Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
I'll call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Iconic, Rockfin, Odyssey, Band.video, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, thank you so much. We appreciate your amazing and continued support. I just checked, there's 2.8 million podcasts out there. So the fact that you found us at all, I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you like this show, you can subscribe to it. You can rate the show. You can share it with your friends and family. We appreciate all of that. Hey, speaking of Iconic, they've been a home for macroaggression since we started, and they wanted me to let you know that if you're interested in trying out their video platform, you can do so for 10 days for free. There's a link in the show notes that will get you access to that. You can just try it before you buy it, see what's going on over there. All of David Icke's content is there, of course, as you would expect, but it's not just that. They have a huge health and wellness section that's really blowing up. They're doing weekly shows. They're doing original content. They're making their own movies. There's a lot going on over there. So if you are so inclined, you want to check out what they call, sort of like the Netflix for the alternative media, without the cuties part, then go take a look over at Iconic, see what the boys are doing over there. We love them and we appreciate their support of this show. Hey, we couldn't do this show without the support of our sponsors. C60 Purple Power is great. Did a show with Ken Schwartz, the founder and chief scientist, a couple of days ago. I do shows from time to time. He doesn't live too far from me, and we get into some wild topics. If you're interested in seeing those, you got to go to Rockfin. It's behind the paywall because we talk about some crazy stuff. But C60 is a free radical sponge. It is the guys that discovered it wound up winning the Nobel Prize. It's like a big deal in science. They had theorized about it in the 60s. Buckminster Fuller had theorized about this thing called the buckyball, which is like a 60 carbon atom hollow soccer ball. And they wound up finding it a couple decades later, and the guys won the Nobel Prize. It's kind of a big deal. It's the most powerful antioxidant known. It's hundreds of times more powerful than anything out there. It's great for your pets. It's great for your family members. I got everybody in my family on it now and my pets. So we appreciate it. If you are interested, if you've never heard of anything quite like this, you want to read up about it, go to shopc60.com. And if you're checking out, you can use the promo code MACRO, save yourself a little bit of money. All the links will be in the show notes as well. So if you don't remember this, you can just look down and easily click to it that way. But I'm telling you, this stuff has made a huge difference. It gives you energy. It lifts the oxidation burden off of your cell. It's pretty amazing. It's fantastic stuff. But if you're not a scientist, like I'm not a scientist, and you want to know more about it, just go to shopc60.com. Read up, see what you think. Promo code MACRO on the way out. And look, again, I don't want to turn this show into fear-mongering or anything like that. But I would be remiss if I wasn't talking about the very real possibilities of food shortages. And I'm not just talking about this because Joe Biden's talking about it. That makes me suspicious. But we've been talking about this for a while. We recognize that there are supply chain failures happening. We've got them going on right here in the United States. We have a secondary one that's happening outside of China, where all the shipping boats are on hold and all the container ships are just sort of mulling around out there off the coast of Shenzhen and Hong Kong. And they're not going anywhere. Lockdowns due to COVID, whatever that means. So there's kinks in the supply chain in all directions. We've got Russia refusing to sell fertilizer to the West because of the sanctions that were slapped on them. We've got food processing facilities just exploding all over the place when they're not getting hit by airplanes, which is definitely not normal. We have trucking issues. We've got farmers being paid to not farm, to go into early retirement. We've got videos online of them being forced to plow their own crops. This is a catastrophe. Okay. It's not too often that you get advance notice of something like this. It's tempting to be dismissive of it. We have normalcy bias. Yesterday was normal. Today was normal. Tomorrow will probably be normal. Well, it probably will be normal if we weren't experiencing all these other things that I just got done mentioning. So I'm asking you, just for my own peace of mind, to get yourself prepared for this. Get yourself set up with food and water and the things that you need. Luckily, I have a sponsor that can take care of it. But if you're not interested in using my sponsor, please just do it however you need to do it. You can go to My Patriot Supply was nice enough to create a landing page for us called preparewithmacroaggressions.com. You can go there and in 10 minutes, you can order enough food to set you and your family up for months and months, and if not years. There's discounts on 4-week supplies of food for 4 people, discounts on 3-month supplies of food for 4 people. They've got water filtration and air purification. They have camping gear. They have coffee that lasts 25 years. Whatever you need, they've got it there. You just need to make the decision that today's the day you're going to take care of planning for the future. I've been vocal about not freaking your family out. I don't want this to turn into some sort of panic situation. They probably wouldn't believe you anyway. So just quietly go about making the moves that you need to during this relatively calm before the storm. I'm not trying to wish this on us. I'm not trying to speak this into existence. I don't think that even matters. What's coming is coming. Berwick and I talked about this in Controlled Demolition, where the people in Thailand and Banda Aceh, Indonesia, on December 26, 2004, went out to the ocean, went out to the beach, and there was no water there. It had all been sucked out. The people that didn't know what to make of it walked out and took selfies and said, "Isn't this cool? We can find all these shells." The people that recognized the signs went to higher ground, including all of the animals. Recognize the signs of what is coming. Get yourself prepared in advance. You're better off being a couple months early than even a couple days late on this. Let's not make the same mistakes we made with regard to the COVID toilet paper fiasco. So please, preparewithmacroaggressions.com. If not there, do it however you need to. Pick up a little extra food at the grocery store, but please just take care of yourself. I want to make sure that you guys are all as good as can be. And also, look, maybe you're going to be the one that buys the storable food for other people in your family. They're probably going to look at you like you're crazy until they thank you for it. So, something to consider. Oh, well, let's get into the topic for today. There is a term. Get woke, go broke. You've heard it. We've used it. We've used it as the title of one of the episodes before. There is another title. There's another topic. And that is, everything woke turns to crap. It's really true. It's not just a funny little dig at the woke mob. If you observe what wokeness has done, if you get honest and objective about it, you'll find it just infects everything around it. It's such a catastrophe. It's anchored in a ideology that is devoid of logic and reason. It is mental illness masquerading as manners. I don't want to be mean to that person. I don't want to misgender that person. I don't want to, make this person feel less than. Look, I don't either. But the wokeness and getting somebody's pronouns right and all that stuff, this is busy work for morons. This is not helping. This is not making people feel more inclusive or whatever. You're never going to make these people feel included. They don't want to be included. I don't want them included with me. I don't want them anywhere near me. You're not inclusive enough. Well, look, start acting like a normal human being, and maybe I will include you. But if you're going to act like a freak, you're right. I'm not going to be inclusive. Inclusive of people that have mental illnesses and try to convince kids to gender at 8 years old. No, I can't figure out why everyone is not being inclusive of me. Maybe don't be a groomer. How about that? Considered not sexualizing children. Things are not. Look, I like to have fun. I like to make fun. I don't mind when people goof on me. I've got a good sense of humor for this stuff. You will notice a common thread, though. The woke community does not have a good sense of humor. They have zero ability for self-reflection. They can't see how ridiculous they look, because if they did, they'd have to laugh. They'd have to at least go, we do look kind of ridiculous out here. We do look kind of silly with my, 14 different colors of hair. And I'm a guy, by the way, to be fair and crystal clear, back when I had hair, which was 1,000,000 years ago, my hair was every color of the rainbow. Okay. I've had long hair. I've had blue hair. I've had all that stuff. Okay. I'm not shitting on that. That was just fun. Like punk rock, worked at a bar. Who cared? Nobody gives a shit. One of these days, my hair's probably going to fall out, and it did. So I'm not goofing on that necessarily. I like to make fun and have a good time and laugh. This group is so sensitive about everything that you can't even point out their physical abnormalities. I guess that's probably the best way to put it. Without them wanting to have you convicted of a hate crime, So it's no exaggeration that everything woke turns to crap, but we're going to get into some detail and kind of explain what it is and why we say that and what we mean by everything turns to crap. It's an infection. It's a mind parasite. Actually, since I used that term, let me go back and quote, because this woke mind virus is making Netflix unwatchable. Elon Musk. So, we're kind of on the same path there. It's a mind parasite. Of this destroying the soul of a country through forced indoctrination. That's the key. It's forced indoctrination. They're not going to allow you to just eventually come to the conclusion that you're going to have to refer to people's pronouns. They don't want you to just have that as an option. They want to force you to do it. Now you will refer to me by they them pronouns or what was it, the toy gender, I forget what it was. Oh god, it's mental illness. I hate to break it. I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, but I know mental illness when I see it. And having 70 different genders and referring to your pronouns as toy self, that's mental illness. Okay. It's what it is. It's undiagnosed, of course, but that's what it is. So you destroy the soul of a country through forced indoctrination. And that's what we're feeling right now. We're feeling that this indoctrination it's one thing to try to force it on me, because that's not going to work. It's quite another thing to force it on children. And by forcing it on children, I'm getting involved. I'm just not going to sit there and let them be defenseless in this. So if you want to force it on children, consider that you're forcing it on me too. And if you're going to try and force it on me, you're going to have problems, because I'm going to let you know exactly what I think. And I'm going to let you know that you are a LARPing retard with mental illness masquerading as a social justice warrior with pronouns. Take you seriously. Okay. Let's talk about critical race of the wokeness. Now, there's, at its core, critical race theory tells people that they're either in one of two categories. They're either a victim or an oppressor. Now, my daughter's 10. If she went to school today and they said, we're teaching critical race theory, you're either a victim or an oppressor, which one are you? She's not a victim and she's not an oppressor. So now what? She's neither. She's out of the loop. She's not on either team. She's ostracized. Hey, I thought we're supposed to be inclusive here. We're inclusive as long as you pick you're either a victim or oppressor. What if you're neither? What if you're a 10-year-old girl who's not a victim or an oppressor? What if you're a 50-year-old man who's not a victim or an oppressor either? Then what? Look, I don't think it's any surprise that Ibrahim X. Kendi, the guy that is driving this critical race theory, this grifter of the highest order, he is a member of the World Economic Forum's Young Global Leaders. I know. You're not surprised at all. Why would you be? I mean, when you hear insanity like this, the first thing I think is, who's financing this shit? Like, who is taking some sort of pleasure or some sort of, who's the financial backers to make this mainstream? It's not just happening accidentally. There's a marketing campaign behind it. There's a push. There's book publishers. There's television networks that allow these grifters to get on there and start ranting and raving and telling everybody and all these people that are liberal white women that hate themselves. Black Lives Matter, fisting, wearing kente cloths and all this horse shit, this performance art that they're engaged in. It's embarrassing. You should be ashamed of yourself. Get off that knee. It's happening in schools. And, look, the Marxist ideology understands that it's important to get to kids young. It's important to get to them early. You can make an impression on them. It stays with them for the rest of their lives, theoretically. And then you work on that entire generation, and then they grow up and they have kids, and then they help to indoctrinate. So each generation is incrementally easier to indoctrinate as long as you get one of them. It takes a while. You can't do this overnight, of course. It takes a couple generations, but that's how you do it. If you're talking about destroying the soul of a country, this is part of how you do it. Get into the schools early. So that's why you see critical race theory being taught in schools. That's why you see things called social emotional learning. It's the same thing. It's just a new name. Social emotional learning. Ooh, it sounds so inclusive and so new agey and everything. And you fully expect the people teaching this to be twirling in the parking lot at a Grateful Dead concert or something like that. But they're not. They're in your classroom teaching your kids and talking to them in serious terms about how they need to decide whether or not they're a victim or an oppressor. And there's just got to be more options than two. Now, Florida has said, this is insanity, masquerading as knowledge. This is not going to work here. They went through and they rejected 54 of the 132 math textbooks. Math textbooks? Why? Were they too hard? Were they too difficult to understand? Were they being written by Chinese PhD candidates at Yale that don't speak great English, but and certainly don't know how the best way to write a math book? Like, I remember my math teachers in college didn't speak English. It was very hard to learn math when your teachers didn't speak English. Is that what's happening? Is that why these textbooks are getting rejected? No, it's not that. It's not that. It's that critical race theory has infected math. I mean, you thought you hated math when you were a kid. Try social justice warrior math. I mean, 3 times 4 equals 11 as long as you can show your work. I joke about that, but that's Common Core, and you will get partial credit for showing that 3 times 4 equals 11. If you just write 12, you'll get it marked wrong. You'll get it marked half right. You have to show the work, right? But if you show 3 times 4 equals 11, they're on the record of saying we're more concerned with the how than the answer. We are talking about math. We're not talking about your opinions on a book that you read. We're not talking about something that's as subjective as that. Well, I feel that the author meant this. Well, really? Well, you're wrong because I felt that the author meant that. We're talking about fucking mathematics. There is one answer, just like Google, just like Eric Schmidt wants it, right? When he talks about Google, there should only be one answer. You mean like math? Critical race theory says, the answer is subjective. What was the color of the person asking you to calculate 3 times 4? Was it a white man? Then he was probably trying to oppress you. Oh, it's so disgusting. 41% of the books that were put forth in Florida were just rejected. DeSantis said, get this shit out of here. Now, I got my problems with DeSantis on his loyalties to foreign countries and things like that. But what he's done in Florida has been, I must confess, credit where credit is due to a politician. I rarely give it to him. But what DeSantis has done in Florida with regard to the critical race theory, the standing up to Disney, and the virus shenanigans, I'll give him credit for that. I don't think he's perfect, though. Obviously, none of these people are perfect. But he's shown a willingness to at least function in some form of reality. I'll be damned if I'll take that. That sounds like a victory at this point, you know? So you get, and by the way, Florida already removed Common Core. They just said this woke math isn't going to work here. And Common Core, just as a reminder, was financed by Bill Gates and pushed on the schools by Obama, who said, hey, would you like $50 million for your state to learn, for education? They said, of course, we need this money desperately. Great. Sign up to this Common Core standard that we're finishing up, and we'll give you the money right now. And they said, well, let us see the curriculum. And he said, well, it's not finished yet, but go ahead and sign up right now and we'll give you the money. In fact, you have to sign up and agree to it right now. And they said, well, we need to see the curriculum. He said, sign up or you don't get the money. So they said, fine. Well, I'll take your word for it that you're working on the curriculum. I mean, how bad can it be, right? And they sign in, they get the money, and then they drop Common Core on them. And everyone goes, what the fuck is this? I'm not doing this. And they go, well, then give us the money back. And they go, yeah, we already spent that money, son. Well, Florida said, Common Core, get out. So get your kids out of school. But if your kids happen to be in school, in public schools, at least get them into Florida schools. There's also something called the implicit association test. Have you heard of that? Doesn't really sound like it's anything too bad until what you find out is that it is measuring racial prejudice. The implicit association test. 2 million people have tested their racism. Most people, the results were slight or moderate racism. God, I would love to take this test. Talk about salting the information. Whoever graded my test would need therapy afterwards. You're going to measure somebody's racism on a test? First of all, I don't know, little hint. Racist people sometimes don't always tell you that they're racist. And when they're taking a test, they don't always tell you the truth either. But whatever, go for it. Keep measuring that racism. What are you going to do? Put it on my social credit score? I'm sure you would like to do that. So we've got, I'm not going to just talk about the critical race theory infecting math without giving you at least a couple of examples. And I want you to understand something. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not making this up. Okay. This is an example. This came out of 9th grade in Missouri. Not that fact checkers mean anything, as we know, but even the fact checkers had to admit that this is a true story, that this actually has been happening. So there's a Maya Angelou. She's a Black writer, author from, and one of Oprah's favorites and all that shit, and I don't really know Maya Angelou's work all that much. I have no problem with her one way or the other, but they're using her book as an example. They're clearly making kids read the book while they're also doing the math because, that makes sense. And so then they're asking math questions and combining it with word problems. You'll see in a second what I mean. And I'm just going to read a couple of them to you. And then I want you to just, not, if you're listening to this while you're in the car, I want you to not drive your car into a tree. Please, I'm begging you. Just appreciate the insanity of this and then we'll move on. So this is like algebra, right? So the question is, and you don't have to answer the question, but I'll do it for you. Y equals x plus 2. Then the next line is 3x plus 6y equals 12. Okay, that's the math part of it. Then the second part then there's a word problem associated with this question, and then the answers are combined. So that's the math part, which is just algebra. Then for whatever reason, this algebra assignment decided that they're also going to talk to you about Maya Angelou's book. So the question that goes along with this is, Angelou was sexually abused by her mother's blank at age 8, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. Is the answer A, 0,2, the answer actually at age 8? Is it 4,6 and brother, or is it -3, -1 and 5? Are we doing algebra, or am I down at the police station picking somebody out of a lineup? The answer is A, of course. 0,2, boyfriend. So Angelou was sexually abused by her mother's, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. Again, this is math. Question number 2. X equals y minus 1. Y equals -4x plus 21. Math part. Are you ready for the word problem? You're going to love this one. Keep in mind, 9th graders. Trying to support her son as a single mother, she worked as a pimp and blank. I feel like we're playing Match Game PM. Jesus, Charles Nelson Riley is going to be in the background. Is it A, -3, -2, bookie? Is it B, 9, 10, drug dealer? Or is it C, 4, 5, nightclub dancer? Trying to support her son as a single mother, she worked as a pimp, prostitute, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking drug dealer. It was nightclub dancer. It was C, 4, 5, nightclub dancer. How dare you assume she was a drug dealer? I mean, just because she admitted she was a pimp, a prostitute. How prostitute? You get both ends of the transaction. There's some real estate broker shit going on here. And a nightclub dancer, apparently. So look, I mean, I'm having some fun with this, obviously, but this is real. These are real questions that are being given to ninth graders in Missouri. And I suspect elsewhere, but this is where it came from. Like, is there any part of you that thinks this is okay? Am I got a hell of a sense of humor and this sounds like insanity to me. That you've decided that you're going to, get people excited in algebra, right? It's like, how can we incorporate prostitution in algebra? They're like, oh, I got an idea. So this is what's happening with critical race theory in schools. And you wonder why these kids need safe spaces. I actually now feel kind of bad for giving them as much shit as I've been giving them all this time. I really had no idea they were up against this sort of level of madness. And then, of course, we have the school board meetings. Like the school boards are like under attack. And why? Because the parents are like, they're pushing critical race theory and third bathrooms and tranny story time and all this stuff. And we're not okay with it. And so what do? What do? When the parents come down and start screaming at the school board, they try to label them domestic terrorists. First of all, I don't even know where to start with it. It's an inaccurate title. It's ridiculous to do that. But on top of all of that, it's really dangerous to do that. To start labeling people domestic terrorists. Do you know what happens to you when you get the legal designation of domestic terrorist attached with you? You could be disappeared. You're a terrorist on the battlefield. Homeland is the battlefield. We have talked about this at least a dozen times on this show. This is no joke. So the people that are voicing their displeasure at these school board meetings, which is their right to do, by the way, they're sending their kids there. They're their kids. They're talking about how they have a right to understand what's going on with their children at schools and what they're being taught. And they're coming out and saying, we got a big problem with this. What do? They get labeled a domestic terrorist. That'll get a person killed. Let's stick with Florida. Because Florida's a trip. And you can't talk about the woke stuff without talking about Florida. It's like the epicenter of it. We have Ron DeSantis, again, comes out with this bill that is controversial, maybe to a vocal minority. I have no idea why it's controversial at all. They've labeled it the Don't Say Gay bill. It doesn't, for those, I've read it. For those that haven't read it, nowhere in it does it say, don't say gay. Nowhere in it. That is a complete lie designed to smear this bill. That's what you do when there's only a few of you and you're fighting this big organization. You just make up something and see if it sticks. It's stuck. Don't say gay bill. George Takei is about it. He's all bent out of shape and everything. Read the bill, George. Read it, you dipshit. It doesn't say anything about that. It does say? It says, we think that teachers should not be talking to children from kindergarten through third grade. So we're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. We're not going to let you talk to 5-year-olds through 8-year-olds about sex. About any kind. We're just not going to make that the school's business. We're not going to allow teachers to discuss that. You're not going to be allowed to discuss that. Any kind of sex. After that, we understand we're going to need to have some discussions. We're going to get into, your body's changing, all that stuff. The loony left went apoplectic about this. How dare you? We want to indoctrinate these kids. We want to talk about gender studies with 5-year-olds. Tell them that I'm trans. I just want to come out to my students and everything. Why do you want to come out to your students? Why are you talking to 6-year-olds about your sexuality? Do you know what that makes you? It makes you a groomer. It makes you a groomer by definition. If you're talking to little kids about sex, that is the shit that Jimmy Savile would do. Okay? That is the stuff that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, talking to little kids, maybe not that young. That's what pedophiles do, is they sexualize and talk about sex with kids at inappropriate ages. Now, if you want to have this conversation and you get into the gray area about kids that are juniors and seniors in high school, I guess there's some sort of conversation to be had there. I personally just say, like, if they're not of legal age, don't talk to them about sex. Okay. Like, if they're not your kid and you're not having that conversation, anything else has the potential to be misconstrued. And if it is misconstrued in a wrong way, you could find yourself into a lot of trouble. And by the way, it's not your business. It's not your place. Okay. If you've got a problem with talking to 5-year-olds or 6 or 7 or 8-year-olds about sex, then the problem is you. Okay. The problem is on your side of the equation. And so it leads to a showdown with Disney. And Disney gets involved and they say, well, we're going to make a big stink here. And how dare you do this? And there's a vocal group inside of Disney. I wouldn't say it's a minority inside of Disney. I'd say that Disney and these hardcore left companies like Netflix and Google and Twitter. And when I say hardcore left, I mean, you look at, there's charts that are out that show political campaign spending by people that are employees of these companies. And in the case of like Netflix, it was like 98.5% Democratic Party. You know, so they're left leaning. I mean, they're all like in the 95th percentile and above in terms of their employees giving to the Democratic candidates as opposed to Republican candidates. So they're hardcore Democrats, right? And Disney's based in California. And so they're trying to have, which is a very liberal state, and they're trying to exert their authority over Florida, which is a red state, a Republican state, run by DeSantis. And DeSantis says, you know what? You guys have stuck your nose somewhere where it does not belong. And as a result of that, I am going to revoke the READY Act, which is an agreement that Disney has had in place since 1967, which offered them governing jurisdiction as well as special taxing rights, a special taxing district. Part of what it meant, they gave this to Disney back in 1967, and they said, look, it's like giving them rights to they don't have to get approval on the size of the buildings that they build or the types of buildings that they, you know, the things that you and I would have to, if we were building a subdivision or if we were building a retail center, it'd have to fit within the guidelines of what's acceptable. It has to look this certain way. It has to be this far, you know, it has to have all these fire hydrants in this place and, you know, smoke detectors and all these things. All those things just kind of went out the window with the READY Act, the Ready Creek Agreement. Disney is 39 square miles of property outside of Orlando. It's like Central Florida. Used to just be, you know, swamps and, you know, and orange trees out there. And Disney developed this whole thing and, of course, bought politicians because that's what you do. And the politicians decided, well, look, we're going to, we're going to grant you these special rights. Now, one of the things that happened with the Disney situation is that it really created an unfair playing field for the others because Universal Studios came in and they started building out their projects and they didn't have this. So they had to go get their, you know, everything that they built took, you know, years longer than the things Disney was building. Disney could fast track a new project and have it up and running in half the time that it took their competitors. DeSantis took this away. He said, you want to come in here and fuck with us? We're going to fuck with you back. You stick your nose in this place. Remember, you work here. You are guests of ours in this state, and we gave you this Ready Creek Agreement back in 1967, and we'll pull it from you. Now, let me be clear. I don't like the idea of government getting involved with companies. This is the libertarian anarchist in me. I don't like that DeSantis can then, do that and and take something away from a company that isn't playing ball with him. I think that's a slippery slope with unintended consequences. But this is what I will say about it. They should have never had it in the first place. They had a special agreement. Now, if DeSantis had come out and slapped big taxes on them or something, I'd be like, no, you can't do that. That's not, as much as I despise what Disney's doing, you can't do that. That sets a bad precedent. In this particular case, I'm willing to grant it a little bit of an exception because the fact is they were given this special privilege, and what DeSantis did is took it back away from them and just said, no, you're gonna have to be on a level playing field with everybody else. So it's creeping into the gray area. Let's just put it that way. Now, so what happened to Disney? What has been the response by Disney? Well, Disney went crazy, right? They went crazy early on. DeSantis pulled this. I haven't heard anything from Disney after that. But you know what did happen? They lost $34 billion in market capitalization in just 3 weeks after this went down. So they are feeling the pinch of this. They fucked around and they found out with regard to dealing with DeSantis and Florida and going woke and going broke. Well, not totally broke, but certainly on their way towards, they're on their way towards polarizing their audience, their target audience. And that's a dumb thing to do when you're in business. If you're Disney, you should stay agnostic when it comes to stuff like this. You should be like, we're a family-run business or family business. We cater to families. We like the red team and the blue team. We don't care. As Michael Jordan once said, when they asked him whether or not, why he wouldn't get in, why he wouldn't support the Democratic Party, his response was, Republicans buy sneakers too. So he stayed out of that. Disney should stay out of that, but they're not going to. Because at their core, they're a woke company. A couple years ago, I don't know, for those of you that I grew up in Southern California, so Disneyland was a 2-hour drive from my house. It was a big deal when you went there. You spent the whole day there. It was like it was fun. It was great. And one of the best rides was Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, if I ever go to Disneyland, I go find the 33 Club. There's a door with a little number 33 on it. That's the 33 Club. Ooh, I just wonder why. Was Walt Disney a 33-degree Freemason? Yeah, he was. And that's the reason why it's the 33 Club. But inside Pirates of the Caribbean, there are all these, you get in a boat and you kind of go through this managed river that takes you through, and you see all the different. If you've been to Disneyland, you know what I'm talking about. But there was a component there where it was these guys, these animatronic pirates that were chasing these women in big, kind of looping circles through this house, and it made it look like they're guys chasing women, another guy chasing a woman, another guy chasing a woman, and then you get to the last one, and it was a fat woman chasing a skinny guy, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's funny," And then above it said, "Take a wench for a bride." That was the sign that was up there. And it was showing like the craziness of pirates back in the Caribbean 400 years ago or whatever. But the social justice retards made a big deal about this because apparently it made them feel all icky inside and they didn't have a safe space inside Pirates of the Caribbean. So they got rid of it. They changed the ride because of this. And it's not limited to that. In the Jungle Cruise, there's Trader Sam at the end. He's got these shrunken heads. They got rid of Trader Sam because, they thought they were going to trigger people. All those people with shrunken heads that go to Disney with that microencephaly. They just wouldn't come anymore, so we had to change the Jungle Cruise or whatever. The Song of the South was removed from Splash Mountain. It's like, oh God, just shut the fuck up already. Are you running a theme park or a social justice center? Like, what are we talking about? They have gender inclusive employees now. Now you can be whatever you want to be, and you can a purple mohawk and work at Disneyland, and I mean, I guess you'd be sweeping up the place. That's the only thing you could be qualified for, except maybe being inside one of those goofy or Mickey Mouse outfits, passing out from heat stroke. I don't know. But look, Disney has a pedophile problem. Let's talk about that. They came out in support of this or opposition to the DeSantis bill. And they're talking about, how dare you say that we can't talk to kids about gender or their sexuality at that young age? It's like, well, why are you guys interested? Aren't you in the children's entertainment business? I mean, unless you're all run by pedophiles. Oh, wait, hang on a second. They are. They've got a huge pedophile problem. There's a bunch of Disney employees that have been arrested for traffic, for meeting up with young kids and trading child porn, and Operation Child Predator arrested many Disney employees. Between 2006 and 2014, 35 Disney employees trying to meet minors for sex or possession of child porn. In something that sounds like I'm making it up, I will preface this by saying I'm not this creative. Disney cruises in the Caribbean, not the Pirates of the Caribbean, because that's offensive, but in the actual Caribbean, offered snorkel trips where the big boat would stop, and you could take this excursion in the U.S. Virgin Islands to go snorkel around a nearby island. Want to take a guess what island it is? Little St. James Island. I'm not making that up. Again, I couldn't make it up. I'm not that smart. I'm not that clever. Is staffed with a bunch of pedophiles. But at the top, they're run by hypocrites. Okay? When Star Wars releases a movie poster with a black character in it and releases that movie in China, they change the movie poster to remove the black character from it. Do you know why that is? Because the Chinese do not want the blacks in the movie. Do you understand how that works? Disney is so worried about social justice, it's just the most important thing for them, except for when they're dealing with China. Oh, you want us to take the black guy out of the movie program or the movie poster? No problem. It'll be done and we'll have it sent over to you in 2 hours. It'll be finished. Gigantic hypocrites. Hey, guess what? Did you see what happened to Netflix? Oh boy. Get woke, go broke with Netflix, too. Their stock has dropped just in the month of April 2022, 45%, after they lost 200,000 subscribers on expectations of gaining 2.5 million new subscribers. So let me explain. They thought they were going to gain 2.5 million. Not only did they not gain those 2.5 million, they then lost 200,000. But they have a very good reason for this. They have a perfectly understandable explanation for this. You see, they lost 700,000 subscribers from Russia because they cut off Russia because the United States government told them to. Because they stand with Ukraine. Oh, sorry. I don't know. Which fist how am I supposed to? Is this the fist? Is it supposed to face forward this way? We stand with Ukraine. So we're going to cut Russia off and lose 700,000 subscribers. Hey, guess what, dumb fucks? Your market cap this year to date, not 12 months of the year, just year to date, 2022, their stock price is down 68%. It was $579 when the year started, a share. Let's just round up and say $600. You know what it is now? $190. Netflix has some explaining to do to their shareholders. They went from $314 billion in market cap, meaning the value of their company when this year started, $314 billion. They're down to $84.3 billion. That's like CNN. Like, is Jeff Zucker running Netflix now? I didn't see the press release. I didn't realize he was in charge over there. You've got the Chappelle controversy, where those lunatics at Netflix were saying, it's either him or us. Security will escort you out. We have the cuties controversy. They're so concerned about and diversity and standing with Ukraine and producing child porn disguised as a movie called Cuties. That's where we get back to the Elon Musk quote that we kind of started off with. Woke mind virus is making Netflix unwatchable. Yes. Say what you will about Elon Musk. We're going to talk about him in a second, but he's right on that one. And by the way, Netflix, everybody's gay in the shows in Netflix. Did you notice that? The gay bomb went off at Netflix and everybody in all the shows is gay. Or if they remake the shows, then they're brown. It's like, and look, I don't really care one way or the other about like remaking the shows and adding black characters or whatever. I don't care, but I notice it. I know what you're doing. You're trying to pander to the woke mob. What you don't realize is that there's no finish line with them. They will continue to demand outrageous things from you. There's no end to it. You can't ever make them happy. They won't ever just leave you alone. You can't. Look what happened from fat slob, dipshit, Ethan Klein. Fuck him. He's a piece of garbage. But he got what he had coming to him. He shit-talked Jordan Peterson, took all Jordan Peterson's interviews down. Jordan Peterson was very nice to him and said, "Oh, you're gonna find out what the woke mob's all about. You're gonna bow down to them, and it's never gonna be enough. And you're gonna do they're gonna make you try to live up to impossible standards, and you will fail at some point, and they will come for you." And guess what happened? Compilation video of him making homophobic slurs came out. All his sponsors up and left. Too bad. You get what you get, Ethan. You deserve it. You can't work with these people. You cannot work with the woke mob. You can never bow to the woke mob. It's never enough because it's not about making them happy. They're piranhas. They're just out for destruction. The best thing you can do to them is never bow down to them. This message to the woke mob. I'm begging you to cancel my show. Come cancel me. I dare you. Make this show 1,000 times bigger than it is. Please. And this will be the show to do it too. But there is some good news. There is some good news. Did you hear about CNN Plus? Oh, it just warms my heart to see what happened to these people. I want you to just imagine this. Now, I have a degree in business, but that doesn't really mean much because I honestly don't know if I even remember. I don't even know what I remember from school. Okay, but I guess it just proves that I can complete a task, I guess. You don't need to have a degree in business to understand this. When you lose 91% of your viewers to CNN, the mothership, entirely with sexual predators and pedophiles. Not my opinion. They're all under indictment right now. You lose 91% of your audience on a program that's essentially free. I mean, it's on cable news, but you get it bundled with everything else. It's essentially free to you. It's probably not a good idea to then launch a pay service to try and monetize the 9% of your audience that you have left. Again, don't need to go to college to understand that. Just have to have a functioning brain. But McKinsey, the global consulting firm, was hired by CNN. They put their heads together, and McKinsey obviously was like, we like free money. They're like, oh yeah, CNN, that's a good idea. Yeah, you guys should definitely launch a streaming service that costs $6 a month because, I mean, after the explosion in your growth, we've lost 91% of our marketplace. Well, yeah, you should still do it anyway. It lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks. They didn't get 10,000 subscribers in 3 weeks. Do you know how much money CNN spent to launch CNN Plus? $300 million. Holy shit. I mean, the New York Yankees think that was a bad investment. They're like, hell, at least you could have had A-Rod in his prime. But look, there's no market for paying for lies from known propagandists. Color me. There's too many pedophiles working there. There just are. Nobody wants to pay for that. So they folded in 3 weeks to thunderous applause and roaring laughter, as it should. Chris Wallace is stuck over there going, where'd everybody go? I love it. Twitter gets woke, gets bought. Yep. The lefties are freaking out. I don't know if you heard the leaked messages from Argwal, the CEO. I mean, soon to be fired CEO, I would assume. The guy who talked about how, we're not really worried about the First Amendment. We don't care about that stuff. We're more focused on building communities or some buzzword. I don't know. Vijay, whatever her name is, the head of content, the Nazi over there at Twitter, the one that went on Rogan with Tim Pool and Jack Dorsey. Yeah, she apparently cried in the meeting. Just distraught that Elon Musk was going to come in and destroy this sandcastle of woke horseshit that she had been carefully cultivating since 2011 when she came on board. Elon Musk just took a bucket of water and just dumped it on that sandcastle and said, oopsie. Now look, I'm not going to get too far into the Elon Musk thing because the guy wants to put chips in your brain. That's an automatic disqualifier for me. Okay. He says some cool things. He seems like a guy that would be interesting to talk to at the very least. I have questions about his background. I have questions about his family. I have questions about a lot of things. He likes the vaccines. He likes the World Economic Forum. I don't like any of that stuff. But he does not like the woke mob. And I am at least going to pull up a chair and watch the fight. And Twitter has become the playground in which the kids are going to go fight after school. So I'm going to watch, right? We've got Elon Musk fighting everybody at Twitter headquarters. We've got libs of TikTok fighting Taylor Lorenz from Washington Post when she doxed the libs of TikTok, then lied about it. Then the Washington Post covered it up, which was, they were busted. They got caught covering it up. Then she went on television and lied about it, saying that they hadn't doxed them when they clearly did. Then Tim Pool took out a fucking ad in Times Square saying that libs of TikTok got doxed by Taylor Lorenz at the Washington Post and democracy dies in darkness. That's why we're shining a light on you guys. Bravo, Tim Pool. Good for you, man. I love it. Look, it's a fight. Okay? We didn't start this fight. They did. We'll finish it, though. Is a cancer, and you got to remove it all or it'll come back. And I think that the American people, hell, I think the people around the world have about had it with this stuff. It's not popular. It's an ideology that requires too much pressure and salesmanship for it. It's not authentic. It's not organic. It's anchored in fantasy. You can't sell it very well. But leave it to big tech to try. Now, Google has come out with something that a function called inclusive language on their Google Docs. You know, Google Docs has it's kind of like a Microsoft Word. It's a online document program that you can use that is kind of like it's stored in the clouds. You can just pull it up and you can type and add to it and everything. Now, when you're typing, I don't use Google Docs when I write, because I don't want Google to know what I'm writing, like books and things like that. But let's just say that you are. Let's say you're writing a school term paper on something. When you're writing words like policeman or landlord or mankind or housewife, because of this new inclusive language format function, I should say, Google Docs is now going to make suggestions to the words to be more inclusive. So if you write mankind, it's going to suggest, shouldn't you use humankind? And if you write housewife, it's going to say, don't you mean stay-at-home spouse? Big tech, here to save us, here to save the world. Remember what Eric Schmidt said when he asked that question in that panel discussion. He said, he said to the interviewer, when you type a question into Google, what happens? And the guy goes, I don't know. He goes, how many results do you get? He goes, oh, fuck, I don't know, millions. He goes, that's a bug. You shouldn't get a million. If we at Google are doing our job correctly, you should get one answer, the right answer. Eric Schmidt, though not at Google anymore, he's gone on to greener pastures, running the artificial intelligence division of the Pentagon. President Eric Schmidt's, he's probably the president too. Google wants to shape your belief system through this inclusive language. Now, it's not a joke. I had a conversation with Zach Voorhees about this actually just a couple days ago. Google whistleblower. He's the one that blew the whistle to Project Veritas about the blacklist on Google. And I was asking him, like, how did you know where to find the blacklist? He goes, I typed in blacklist and the list came up and it was called blacklist. I was like, oh shit, that's a bit on the nose, don't you think? He was like, yeah. So, Google is actively managing this reality by controlling the flow of words and information, of course. And where else did we see this? We saw this in the summer of 2021 in the United States House of Representatives when they banned the use of the words that are used to describe the family, like mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, etc. There are 30-something words that were banned in the House of Representatives. Not things like the N-word or anti-Semitic tropes or anything like that. No. None of those words. They banned the words that you use to describe a family. And that is devious. That is some 1984 stuff right there, because that gets down to the core of human psychology and interpersonal communications. When you destroy the word that is used to describe a family, you are one step closer to destroying the family. It's just, that's how you do it. As soon as there's no word for this, thing anymore. I remember hearing an interview with Naomi Park, the North Korean lady that escaped North Korea and wound up in China. She's written books and everything. And they were talking about, like, like, what do you call, or no, I think maybe she was talking to Michael Malice about it, or maybe they were having this conversation. It was talking about like a scorpion. Like, well, what do you call a scorpion? They said, well, we don't have a name for a scorpion because we'll never see a scorpion. So why would it ever matter that we had a name for an animal that we'll never see? And it was like, oh shit. So scorpions in that world don't exist because there's no name for them, you know? And so what if the family doesn't exist because you don't have a word to call your grandfather anymore? I mean, it takes a while, of course, but this is the reason why this woke ideology is so devious. It takes a while and it seems kind of silly and nonsensical right now. But give it time. Give it a couple generations. Give it time for the kids that are infected with it now to grow up and then normalize it to their kids. And next thing you know, their kids are being raised by the state because there's no such thing as a mother and father. And of course, we've done an entire episode on woke district attorney weirdos. That was the name of the episode because I thought it was fitting. And I mentioned that they're all in recall elections now. The ones that had been installed, I say installed, financed by Soros, financed in a campaign race where they wound up with 20 times the money of their closest competitor. So that's why I say installed. Chesa Bowden, San Francisco, George Gasson, Cyrus Vance Jr., he's out of New York City, Marilyn Mosby, Baltimore federal jury trial for her, Kim Fox in Chicago. All these people are having big, big problems. Soros backed them with the understanding that once they were in positions of power inside the district attorney's office, they wouldn't prosecute certain crimes. And then lawlessness happens, like insanity happens. And we've talked at length about this. But there's good news. They're in recall elections. The people that saw this experiment play out in real life, the voters that had initially voted for it, had, after living through it, said, we want no part of this. So there is something to be said for the rest of humanity putting their foot down and saying, we're done with this. I know you want me to believe that all of this stuff is real and authentic and it's important, but it's not. Getting somebody the correct pronouns for someone is not dead naming them. It's not literal violence. It's literal violence. They use the wrong pronouns. No, literal violence is when somebody that Chesa Bowden didn't prosecute puts a gun to your head and makes you get in the trunk of your car and drives you to a secluded spot and shoots you. That's literal violence. Somebody not referring to you by the pronouns that you want, even though you're 6'8" and look like a dude wearing a wig, that's not literal violence. That's you masquerading as somebody. San Francisco board members over closures and, quote, woke obsession. What it is, it's an obsession. They're addicted to it. They get power. They get importance for their unimportant lives. They've got meaning. They're fighting a battle. They're fighting the establishment. You're not. Let's go back to where we started. To destroy the soul of a country, you do that through forced indoctrination. That's what we're living through right now. Hey, if you like this episode, please take the additional step right now of sharing it with your. You can follow me on Twitter at macroaggression. You can connect with me through the website, The Octopus of Global Control. You can catch my other shows, The Union of the Unwanted and Day Zero. And I will be around. If you guys want to connect with me, you can do so through the website. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And I hope you guys all have a great day. I'll talk to you again very soon.